at 12 o'clock, we got our first Saturday game, guys, and it's going to be actually a lot of fun. This game's not going to be a lot of fun, but this week, I really love this week because it's the start of actual rivals playing each other, right? ACC teams are playing each other again. SEC teams are playing each other again. Big Ten teams are playing each other again. And we're finally getting to the meat of the schedule for all these teams, right? Like, let's be honest. Georgia was never going to lose an out-of-conference game against Kent State and others, Samford and maybe Oregon you can make an argument for. The real fun part of everyone's schedule is when you play your rivals, which are all in-conference teams. Unless you're weird and you're like West Virginia and Pitt. That was a fun game, but they're out-of-conference rivals. Kent State at the first game of the day. Kent State traveling number 1 Georgia. Kent State's 1-2 to start the year. Georgia's 3-0. Georgia's favored by 45 points on ESPN Plus. We'll go over the stats real quick and then get into more of my analysis of the game. Colin Schilly, the quarterback for Kent State, has gone 33 of 55 through 3 games, thrown for 508 yards, 3 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Marquez Cooper, I hardly know her on the ground, has had 51 carries for 180 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Dante Cephas through the air has had 14 catches for 230 yards and a touchdown. Stetson Bennett obviously has dominated through 3 games, and it looks to be a very similar thing here. He's gone 65 of 88, thrown for nearly 1,000 yards and 952 yards, thrown for 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, 73.9% completion percentage. Kendall Milton on the ground has had 28 carries for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Brock Bowers, I hardly know her, has had 10 catches for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. Georgia, these teams have played once before in 1998. Georgia won the matchup 56-3. So let's see if Kent State can put up at least a little bit of a better fight than that. 45 points is the spread, so they're supposed to put up a better fight. Obviously, they lost by 53 points last time. That's not exactly the best game in the world. But Kent State Golden Wave hasn't exactly looked bad on defense here early on. Now, to be fair, they've been playing some tough football teams, right? They played Oklahoma and Washington to start the year, which is their 2 losses. Both those teams are top 20 football teams at the moment. So it's a rough draw if you're Kent State here early on. Obviously, 3 very tough out-of-conference games to draw. In Georgia, Oklahoma, and Washington, all top 20 football teams. That's a rough draw if you're the Golden Flashes. But Golden Flashes actually looked dang good against Oklahoma, at least until halftime. Was only losing 7-3, and they had the 3-point lead for a majority of that first half. The defense has looked pretty solid. They held an Oklahoma offense, which is known for being explosive, pretty much in check for an entire half. Now, do I expect them to do that against Georgia? No, right? I mean, Georgia's an explosive offense, and they look to be way more explosive than Oklahoma this year. So I don't really expect Kent State to do that, and I don't expect Kent State to drop too many points on Georgia, considering they put up 3 against an Oklahoma defense, which isn't notoriously great. But I think the biggest win Georgia has so far this year is the win against Oregon, where they won 49-3, and that was only a 46-point victory. I don't think they repeat that. I do think Kent State covers the 45-point spread, but I do think Georgia wins by a substantial amount.